Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hope today's speech will benefit the PhD students attending this webinar. Dear students, as you know, in Pakistan, only 1% of the population has access to university level education. And if we calculate the percentage of PhDs, then it comes out to be in fractions like 0.0001. So you are among those very rare people to whom Allah Almighty has given this opportunity. It becomes your natural responsibility to return to your country. How can you return to your country? In what capacity? So it would be in the form of relevant research. The research which can benefit your country. Unfortunately, most of the research work our faculty do does not address the Pakistani issues. I will speak more about it as we proceed. I had made a video which is uploaded on YouTube. The topic of my video was, is it easy or difficult to do PhD in Pakistan? As you can see, this video has been watched by more than 21,000 viewers, and I have received more than 340 very encouraging comments from my viewers. I have never meant to discourage anyone who is doing PhD from Pakistan. I have presented some facts and figures which are unfortunately confronted to all those individuals doing PhD from Pakistan. There are several minuses in our system. It is our responsibility to remove those minuses from our system so that we can get recognition of our research work. We have a lot of good brains. The only thing is needed to put them in right direction. I always used to say to my students, direction is more important than speed. With this preamble, I would like to begin my talk. For today's speech, I have picked up 10 questions pertinent as per the theme of today's webinar. My dear students, please pardon me if I start my talk by presenting a very fundamental question. What is the real essence of doing PhD? I asked this question to my students when I happened to teach a course of research methodology to PhD students. I was really shocked when the answer to this question was not precisely known to our students. So first let me jot down the questions of which I am going to answer in today's webinar. The second question would be, what factors initially created a bad image for Pakistani PhDs globally? The third question would be, what could be the right direction for the HEC to be provided to the universities? What are the unethical practices? What is the moral responsibility of a supervisor? What are the 6 common PhD myths? Myth means misperception. Is it easy or difficult to do PhD from Pakistan? What is the worth of the research so far produced at Pakistani universities? Question number 9 would be, are HEC policies detrimental in promoting the true research culture in Pakistan? What are the 7 essential components of a thesis? So these will be the 10 questions. I will try to answer them in this today's webinar. So the first question is, what is the real essence of doing PhD? As I have told you that I had asked this question in my class of research methodology, and I got different answers, but not a single answer was related what I had to mention them. So first, what students replied, let us see that. Some students were of the view that by doing PhD, we mean to attain the highest level of knowledge in the given topic, which has not been attained so far by anyone. This belief is not correct. Another view was, some were of the view that the PhD degree enables us to write doctors with our names. This is not the essence of doing PhD. Some were of the view that it unlocks career opportunities and provides a competitive edge over others in seeking jobs. This is not true. In fact, PhD is considered an overqualification in many jobs. Some said it is necessary to remain in academia and to get a promotion. Well, this is true, but again, it does not present the real spirit of doing PhD. There were many other answers, but the real answer is PhD degree is a license that allows you to do independent research. Now, if our PhD students before admission or just after admission keep this definition in mind, then I think the remaining work will become very easy for them. So I'm repeating, PhD degree is a license that allows you to do independent research. When you do research, you do it under supervision. I mean, when you do PhD research, you are provided a supervisor. That is why it is called a supervised research. The situation is similar when you try to drive a car. Somebody has to train you. Once you get a driving license, it means you can drive your car independently. When you want to get a driving license, you need to pass various tests. Similarly, in getting PhD degree, which I would call a research license, you need to successfully complete various milestones before you qualify for this license. I hope now you would have understood the real essence of doing PhD. The second question, what factors initially created a bad image for Pakistani PhDs globally? Since, as I've mentioned to you, that I have visited many universities across the world, so certainly I know what type of image in some of the leading universities which carry for our Pakistani PhDs or research work. I'm sorry, I don't want to discourage anyone, but I should present the facts so that we can get the remedy of it. If my students or if the graduating students, PhD students are sitting in this webinar, they may note the points and I would like to explain them at the end. Now the question is, what factors initially created a bad image for Pakistani PhDs globally? This is also important to know so that we can set our direction appropriately. As we know, the famous saying is, the first impression is the last impression. People were doing research in past, but it increased many folds after the inception of HEC, the Higher Education Commission, in 2003, when it created the hype for doing PhD. The quality of research done by most of the PhDs produced during the first 10 to 12 years of the inception of HEC could not make a good impression. Why? The main reason is that the direction set by HEC at the time of its inception probably was not correct. As I have said, direction is more important than speed. So the initial policies from HEC set a wrong direction. It created a big hype for doing the PhDs. The PhD degree and the number of research papers were tied up with the promotion of the faculty as well. The positions of full professors, associate professors, and even the assistant professors were tied up with the degree of PhD. Those faculty who were already in the universities and were not PhD began to feel insecure after getting the policies from HECs in 2003. Those faculty thought without PhD, their career would be blocked. Hence, in order to survive in academia, a vast majority of faculty members registered themselves at various universities for doing PhD. Regardless, they had the aptitude of doing research or not. They wanted a piece of paper called PhD by any means. Dear students, as you know, everyone does not have the aptitude for research, but here the situation was different. The policy of HEC had introduced the culture of plagiarism. People went on several unethical ways to complete their PhD degrees and required number of research papers. Most of the universities were also under pressure due to the HEC policies, as HEC had also asked them to have a certain number of PhDs to run any academic program. This situation created a domino effect. Hence, faculty and universities both started unethical practices, unfortunately. I am not talking about everyone, exceptions are always there. But this all happened due to the hype created by HEC. Its then chairman believed in quantity but not on quality. Now I am coming to the third question. What could be the right direction for the HEC to be provided to the universities? Point number one, HEC should not have created such a hype for doing PhD. Point number two, HEC should have asked the universities to tie up the requirement of PhD degree with the promotion gradually, not abruptly. Point number three, policy should have been made in such a way that the two categories of faculty could be introduced, like teaching faculty and research faculty, which is there in all the foreign leading universities. So when we have the teaching faculty and research faculty segregated, then their career path should also have been given. These categories should have been provided by HEC so that those faculty who did not have the aptitude in doing research could not have felt themselves insecure. Question number 4. What are the unethical practices? Well, point number 1, plagiarism is one of them. Point number 2, faculty writing one research paper includes several of others' names as second, third, and fourth authors, whether they had done any contribution in writing the same paper or not. In this way, writing just 4 papers by 4 individual faculty means each one of them have made a list of 16 publications, making an impressive CV. This practice, unfortunately, is still continuing. Next point is, faculty were looking for substandard journals which can guarantee to publish their papers. Now I am talking about the era from 2003 to say 2015, like 10 to 12 years in the early part, when HEC came up with their abrupt policies. So these created unethical practices. Another unethical practice which I have seen, that from the university end, the unethical practice was that when HEC had said that the university should send the thesis, somewhere it is called dissertation, to 2 outside universities for evaluations. Several universities began to send them to the 2 universities outside their university but within the country. After sending, contact with the individual evaluator privately was become a practice. HEC revised this policy and asked to send the thesis to 2 universities outside the country. Several universities began to send students' theses to the universities, mostly in the third world countries, where they can easily influence the evaluators privately. Later, HEC further changed the policy to send the thesis to 2 universities in technologically advanced countries. This policy is still continuing. Now what we are doing, we search the evaluators of Pakistani origin in all such universities located in technologically advanced countries. I am not saying all universities are doing this, but the general tendency is This is the fact, and this is a ground reality. The individuals are the exceptions, as I have already told you, and some of our people have produced excellent research which were accepted universally. But our collective efforts among the world's research community have still not made any good impression. Another unethical practice is that a PhD faculty accepts several students for supervision, whether the area of research of the student match with the area of research of that faculty or not. You can understand what sort of guidance such a faculty can provide to his students as a supervisor. The supervisor asks his students to write research papers and get them published. Unethically asks his students to write his name as a co-author in the publication. In this manner, in a very short span of time, such faculty mention a long list of research papers in their CV and make themselves qualify for the promotion as per HEC criteria. I came across a candidate who had applied for a senior faculty member at my university. The selection board was very impressed with his CV. When I saw his CV more closely, I had found that just in 7 years, he had supervised 27 students and produced 47 research papers. Most of the students' area of research were not matching with his area of expertise. I found out of his 47 publications, 39 written by students in which they have included the name of his supervisor. So in this way, the faculty was able to show 47 publications in his CV. It is really unethical. Moreover, none of the publications did have any relevance to our society or problems. So these are the unethical practices, unfortunately, people were doing in past, and I'm sure that our new generations will avoid this. The next question is, what is the moral responsibility of a supervisor? Before a supervisor accepts any student, he should ask himself whether the area of his own research is relevant to the area in which students want to do the research. This is question number one. He should ask himself. The second question, he should ask himself whether his own knowledge is up to date in that area of research in which he did his PhD. Question 3, whether he will be able to give enough time during the next 2 to 3 years. I have seen in most of the cases, faculty accepts the supervision without much thinking the said 3 concerns, just to make their own research profile attractive. This is highly unethical and immoral. This is the main reason why our PhD students are not properly supervised to get the guidance properly, and they do most of the research work at their own. Changing of supervisors in between causes lot of wastage of time. Now these are the ground realities I am talking about. Let us come to the point number 6. What are the 6 common PhD myths? Myth means misperception. The students who wants to undertake PhD. So I want to highlight here one by one. There are 6 myths. Myth number 1, you need to be genius. It's not true. You don't have to be Einstein to do your PhD. A PhD is not an intelligent test. It's a research project. In doing PhD, you need to follow a fairly systematic procedure to present your knowledge and research findings in an organized manner. Myth number 2, you have to do something entirely new. It's not true. Your work can be built on other researchers' work with an addition of at least 20 to 30% of your own work. You can also do research on the previously researched topic with different methods to obtain better results. Your work must contribute to new knowledge. Myth number 3, the PhD is going to be your life's work and a masterpiece, and it will be the best thing you ever do. This is also not true. It is actually quite discouraging to think it will be your best work. Though it may be your longest work, when you are doing your PhD, you are actually learning. When you have finished, you should be ready to start as an independent researcher, which means PhD is the starting point of your research career. Whereas so many of us think that when they complete PhD, they have done all things, all research work in their lives, and now they don't need further research. This is highly a misperception. PhD is actually the starting point of your research career. Myth number 4, your PhD will revolutionize or shake the foundations of your discipline. This is not true. You need to finish only a time-bound task of around 2 to 3 years of duration. It is not aimed to win a Nobel Prize. As a PhD student, it is a nice intellectual dream to think you can change the whole concept in your research area, but it is not necessary for the award of a PhD degree. Myth number 5, doing PhD is a boring exercise. You are going to spend 3 years on just one topic. Not true. Of course, you do something specific, but also come across many new things during your literature survey. So while working on a specific topic, you also need to understand the other related work to justify your own work. Myth number 6, if your writing skills are poor, you cannot do PhD. It is also not true. Good writing skill is always helpful because you have to present a high standard of work in your thesis. But if your writing skills are not good, you can still hire a professional services for that matter. Now I come to question number 7. Is it easy or difficult to do PhD from Pakistan? Now I have given a detailed discussions and deliberation in my video, which is specifically on this topic, but here I would like to pick up some important points out of that video. The question, again, is it easy or difficult in Pakistan? Unfortunately, countrywide, we are still lagging in establishing a proper research culture and research ethics. Some universities or individuals may be the exceptions, but generally, our attitude as supervisors or examiners is like a policeman. Our attitude is generally discouraging rather than encouraging. Though the final evaluations are done from the foreign countries, but during the entire research period, a student has to present his research progress after each semester. I am mentioning the practices being followed by leading universities in Pakistan. At the time of evaluating research progress by a panel of faculty, which comprises internal and external experts generally, I have found the attitude is quite discouraging. Some so-called experts find this time as an opportunity to show off their own knowledge, undermining the students' work and raising unnecessary questions to bog down the students' enthusiasm. I have attended several progress seminars in many universities abroad, but generally I have found an encouraging environment there. Next point under this, in general, our students throughout their research work remain under pressure whether they will be able to complete their degrees or not. Again, I would say some universities may be the exception. Next point is, generally most of the time of the students is wasted on procedural matters instead of spending on the actual research. I have seen abroad students with moderate aptitude are able to complete their PhDs from renowned universities abroad without wasting their precious time. That is the reason that most of the time our 2-year research work is completed in 3, 4 or 5 years. That is also unfortunate in Pakistan. Our system wastes the time of the students too much. The next point is, for doing fruitful research, one needs a proper peaceful environment, which unfortunately in most of the country ceases to exist. The country in which after every 10 minutes the media is giving a negative breaking news, how can we keep ourselves isolated and carry out the research? We have some excellent minds. If we provide them peaceful environment and do not indulge them in unnecessary procedural delays, I'm sure we can produce the best PhDs in Pakistan. Another important point is that the country policy makers are also unfortunately biased. They discriminate in saying PhDs from Pakistan universities as local PhDs. And if somebody does the PhD from abroad, they call it foreign PhDs. Just to cite the discrimination, please look at the form used for civilian awards. In the form, if someone has done PhD within Pakistan, no matter from the best university in Pakistan, but he is given 8 marks out of 10. But if someone has done PhD from abroad, no matter from any substandard university, but he is given 10 out of 10 marks. You can see those forms who wants to compete for civilian awards. This is a big discouragement for someone doing PhD in Pakistan. It should be the other way around. In order to encourage our students doing PhD in Pakistan, we should award them 10 marks. We need to collectively raise our voice on this discrimination. This discrimination is also followed at many universities in Pakistan while appointing PhD faculty. Foreign PhD faculty are offered higher salaries. And this is the fact. Question number 8 is, what is the worth of the research so far produced at Pakistani universities? I used to say, think globally, apply locally. I will not be wrong if I say 90% of research publications and theses currently exist in the repository of HEC do not have any significance or relevance to our problems or society. Next point, under the same question, God has given us such a land where we see all weathers and we have the rich soil. We claim that we are an agricultural country, but unfortunately in most of the crops, we have the lowest yields per hectare of land as compared to our nearby countries. How many scholars have produced research papers addressing these issues? Question 9. Are HEC policies detrimental in promoting the true research culture in Pakistan? The answer is big yes. I can point out several such policies which are not realistic. For example, in one of the HEC policies, it says the main supervisor of a student must be within the faculty of the same university. Is it realistic in today's IT world? These days, hundreds of new areas of research are emerging. How is it possible to have the faculty within the university have the same area of expertise so that he can help the student as a supervisor? It's a big question. Is it not better to appoint a relevant expert no matter to which university of the world he belongs to? At least the student will be able to get some proper guidance rather than assigning an irrelevant faculty within the university. Very important questions. As a senior management people, we should ask this question to HEC. We should ask this question to ourselves. Are we really justifying by forcing, by narrowing down that the student or PhD student can only be supervised within the faculty of the same university? What is the use of a long list of approved supervisors placed on the HEC website? In fact, all approved supervisors should be allowed to supervise any student of any university in Pakistan. I have been in the list of approved supervisors for more than 10 years. If someone wants to do research in my area of expertise, why not the PhD student of other university can do PhD under my supervision? Needless to say, I have supervised some PhD students doing PhD in abroad countries, but I cannot benefit to my country's student due to the HEC policy. Next point is, you must have heard about the recent HEC policy in which it had allowed admission to PhD after doing an undergraduate degree. Thank God, most of the universities have rejected this policy. Otherwise, there would be a complete disaster in our higher education system. The last question is, what are the 7 essential parts of a thesis or dissertation? First, let us clear the difference between a thesis and dissertation. In North American universities, PhD research work is called dissertation and MS research work is called thesis. In British universities, PhD research work is called thesis and MS research work is called dissertation. This is the same difference as left-hand drive and right-hand drive of cars. Now I present the 7 essential components of a thesis, which are listed here. Number 1, title. This should present the theme of the thesis. The theme of the thesis. Number 2, abstract. This is the gist of the thesis. The abstract of a thesis is like a trailer of a 3-hour movie. The trailer should be attractive so as to create curiosity to the readers. Then we have literature survey. This should provide the background knowledge. Introduction, it is complete outline of the work. The methods, which is actually the original work the student has to do. This is the main part where you have to show, where you have to demonstrate that this is your original work. Okay. Results and conclusion confirms the originality of the work. After that, references that provides credibility to your work.